Hello everyone, we are live from the Commissioner's desk right here, Dr. Football, and I had been getting a lot of requests to end the season with a video playoff prediction. I won't say who all has been doing it, but I decided to cave in and do so. So here we go, and I thought this was an appropriate year to do it because in addition to all of the usual high drama that we have in the league with the message boards and what have you, we also have an unprecedented 8-team playoff chase for 4 spots, none of which have been clinched yet at all. So those 8 teams, looking at the leaderboard right here, are myself, Dr. Football, Rob Ryan's Sweet Maine, Dr. Marty's Fixed League, Bears to the Bowl, Mom and Pop's Bills, Best Coast Offense, TDs and Beer, and last but not least, Waniacs, hanging on by the slimmest of margins. There is a pulse. I'll get to that in a second. So, we got a total of 5 different games that decide the playoffs. So we got Dr. Football versus Dr. Marty's Fixed League, and that one has some playoff repercussions, as well as Rob Ryan's Sweet Maine versus Waniacs, where obviously Waniacs, if he wants to have any chance at all, has to win that game. We got Mom and Pop's Bills, who are alive and well after the controversial trade that we keep getting reminded of on the message boards. And then we got them playing Dan, the dude, who at best has to play spoiler this time. And then we got TDs and Beer versus Bears to the Bowl. Both of those guys have 8 wins, so one of those wins, whoever gets that one should be in, or have a good chance, unless we end up with a bunch of 9-win teams that outscore all of them. And then we have Best Coast Offense versus the Honey Badger. Honey Badger's out, but Best Coast has a chance this year. So here's what needs to happen for any of those teams to make it in. This is just a real rough scenario. I haven't worked out all the possibilities. So number 1, Dr. Football. Based on points, I have 159 points, so somebody would have to outscore me by that much, and I'd have to have a bunch of 9-game winners ahead of me. Rob Ryan's Sweet Maine, who's been on an absolute tear lately, really just has to also win, and he's in. If he loses, he needs a good score, but he should be in if he can put up a good enough score that he has been. Dr. Marty's Fixed League, so he needs to win, he's playing me, and outscore the other winners. So, at worst, so if he does win, and he has to outscore people at worst, this means likely Bears to the Bowl if he pulls out the win. But if he loses, he's probably done. And I'm sure we'll hear about it in the message boards with some conspiracy theorists. Maybe not so much Oswald up in the tower, but definitely grassy knoll sorts of theories, I would presume. Let's see. We got Tita, Bears to the Bowl, who Tita is just a wonder. You know, Tita started out 2 years ago, Bears to the Bowl, and appropriately by his team name tried to draft the entire Bears team. So he's been working to build up his respect as a fantasy football player for the past 2 years and has really dug himself out of the tank. Tita needs to win and outscore any other 9-game winners, so he'll be in trouble if both Dr. Marty's Fixed League wins and Mom and Pop's Bills win by a lot, which they have been lately. But he's got a very good shot. Best Coast Offense also must win and score a lot of points, a lot of points. So Todd has had a great year, just hasn't scored enough, and 11 points should actually have him down a little bit lower, but he's been squeaking by some wins in the last few weeks, so the record's pretty good. Jorge, who is TDs and Beer, he has been boldly predicting another playoff run as a former league champion, but his loss last week really hurt him. So if he wins, he needs to win and score a lot, like Bears to the Bowl, who he goes head-to-head against this week. So the winner of that game has a real good shot of getting in if they score enough. And then last but not least, we have Waniacs, who in 8th place, believe it or not, is still alive. So Wayne, you're probably calculating this yourself. So let me know if I've got your playoff scenario correct. So Waniacs can mathematically get in if the following happens. So first, my team, Dr. Football, would have to win. That would eliminate Dr. Marty's Fix League, pretty much. So he'd be gone. Next up, we'd have Brian, Rob Ryan, Sweet Main. If he was to lose and Wayne was to beat him, obviously he'd be alive. If Mom and Pop's Bills lost and then Best Coast Offense was to lose, then I believe myself, Rob Ryan, Sweet Main, the winner of TDs and Beers, or Bears to the Bulls, winner of that game, and Wayne, believe it or not, with a whopping 8 wins, which is actually a lot for that usually gets you in the playoffs, but because of the tiebreak, would actually get in. So Wayne, you're probably thinking right now that the tie is hurting you quite a bit, and that is true, but if this weird scenario plays itself out, you can thank yourself for the tie. Okay, so given all of that, here is the commissioner's playoff predictions for this year. Number 1, obviously I'm going to pick myself. My team is leaking every sort of fluid, hemorrhaging, and just dying a slow death, but I actually did enough, setting myself up in the early season with wins and trades, that I don't think there's any way I can't make the playoffs. I don't know how I'm going to make it much further after that. So on to number 2. Number 2, as much as I hate to admit it, Rob Ryan's Sweet Main is just going nuts lately. So Brian's team hasn't scored less than 118 points since week 9. Drew Brees, as Dan said, and in one of his posts, is in fact the man, and I believe he'll carry Brian to a playoff spot. So, number 2. Number 3, Dominic, Dr. Marty's Fix League. You know, despite all of Dominic's conspiracy theories and hate mail, I do believe he finds a way to snake himself back into the playoffs, as he usually does. That means he has to beat my team, which shouldn't be too hard the way I'm playing in the last few weeks. But you never know. I'm going to try to beat him anyway. And I'm sure if I do, we'll hear even more interesting theories about how I fixed the entire league. And him and Conti can get together and have a little party. So that leaves 3 spots. That gives us 3 spots. We got 1 more, and with the final prediction, we have yes, I believe after the controversial trade that even with the 9-game winner of TDs and Beer or Bears to the Bowl, whoever wins that, I believe Mom and Pop's Bills will win handily against the dude and win by enough points to put themselves into the playoffs. So those are my predictions. Probably won't come true. Actually, you should probably be scared if I did pick you, but that's the way I see it playing out. So thanks everybody for playing. Maybe I'll do a prediction video after we have some teams in, but that's the way I see it.